All right. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Nice to be here on this Tuesday. So my name is Cheryl Matthew, and this is a talk community gathering I do for Heartfelt Foundation. We meet every Tuesday at noon Pacific time. And we usually talk about some topic on aging and then open up for questions, answers, comments, sharing in our amazing community here. So today's going to be just an open forum. So it's not a specific topic. We can talk about whatever you like. So first we'll just call in the light and then chant 3 Anai Hughes. Just a way to bring ourselves together. And Anai is a way to bring compassion, empathy, and Hugh is an ancient name for God. Is there anybody that would like to call us forward into the light today?
Well,
Well,
there you go. We have 2 wells, so I guess that's a yes.
Nice.
So Father, Mother God, we call ourselves forward into the holy light of your blessing. However you see that light, I'm just seeing a fountain of light streaming down from a high place, and lots of sparkle in it. And for those of you who were on Blessing This Day this morning with John Morton, you heard his special intercessory prayer for the Middle East, which I thought was lovely. And I'm just seeing this just increasing fountain of light. And into that light, we can place any concerns that we have, any areas that feel out of balance, or just things that might be disturbing or concerning to us, or things we're really happy about that we'd like to continue increasing.
Well, he may get there over that. What do you think?
I think so, Lori.
Me too.
Berush Beishan.
Stimulation.
My dog can feel the energy and she wants to be close. She's knocking at my door. So I'm going to go open the door and let her in. It's feeling good here today. Excellent, excellent. So, sir, I've got some things I can share about, but I really just want to open it up first to see if anybody's got anything that's going on that they have questions or comments or want to just share together today. The floor is yours, is ours. Nancy.
So it occurs to me to ask for the light for Barbara, who's one of the residents here, who called me yesterday to say she was in the hospital and was going to get a pacemaker implanted today. And she was very scared and thought she was going to die. So I thought it wonderful that she called me, and Spirit. That's who she's calling on without knowing it, I think. So light to Barbara, if you would.
Like to Barbara.
The last
No.
name?
Her last name. Nancy, I think if you bring your mic down, we'll be able to hear you better.
Yes, you sure will. I could hear myself better. Her last name begins with a G. It's Gamond, something like that. She's an interesting person because she has no social skills to speak of, and yet she has a fine mind and thinks things through and is good at research and has published some of her work. So she's another of God's children that's a worthy person. So just send the light to Barbara G. She'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, light to Barbara and her new perfectly functioning pacemaker.
Exactly.
The highest good.
Yeah. You've got a beautiful ministry there, Nancy.
Yes, it's a blessing because well, I could talk about it a moment. It has such a natural flow to it that it's like I'm not doing anything except walking into the dining room and sitting down somewhere, and somebody comes up to me out of the blue and starts talking about how their sister is ignoring them or something, whatever their daily concern is. And my job is to listen. And sometimes I have something to offer, but mostly it's listening and holding the light, of course, as those of us who are part of MSIA know how to do. So, and there are something like 150 people that live here in this building, and there's another one across the little roadway. And it's an upscale place, but upscale or not, whether people have had money in their lives or not, everyone or most people go through similar patterns of life's course. And it's just interesting and a blessing to be able to be present for people, as those of you who are on this call already know, I expect.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You're on mute, John. John, if you wanted to not be.
oh, I just
I don't.
apologize because I realized Nancy hadn't finished talking and I wanted to hear the
Oh.
rest of it.
Oh, no, I
got
did. I finished with I'm a listener.
What?
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, that's a skill I could continue to refine. So I'm just happy, Nancy, that it just makes me happy to see you where you are, like, because I got to kind of witness a lot of, your, well, just the 40 years of service that I witnessed. And I just feel like, I'm sitting next to somebody here that did a lot of service, and I felt like I'm kind of their, like I have a very direct commission from JR. It wasn't spelled out like that way or addressing this segment of our life, but it was definitely spelled out in terms of the negative, um, you know, throughout the time he was on the planet and Lori and I were together. And so anyway, I didn't mean to go off to myself. What I was really just grateful to see you there, because it seems like you are, as you mentioned a few times, that it's upscale and nice. And it's like kind of like Nancy's in heaven there, and you get to go and have like the better aspects of the way I've heard Cheryl describe, like, oh, I'd like to be in assisted living. I'd like to have the meals delivered. And I know, like, that was always like fun at Living in Grace. Like, you just kind of be blissful, and then you'd go and the food just appeared in front of you.
That's right.
And
I think things have changed at those big events. It's no longer like it used to be. I'll say that.
But yeah, however it is, I haven't been there in a very long time, but physically, but anyway, I just see you just kind of like coming in on a cloud, like you're there, and the people just sort of appear in front of you that you're to minister to, and they present their ministerial
Shazam.
request. Yeah, yeah, and you're like some sort of deity in their cosmos, and you just bless them, and then the next person comes along to receive their blessing, and meanwhile you're in a physically comfortable place that's caring for your basic self, and you just get to be who you are. So I it just makes me happy, Nancy.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate that a lot. And actually, you've described it quite well. Cheryl, wouldn't you agree?
I just say it's magical.
Yeah. I'm
Sort
gonna
of like
see Cheryl's gonna move in next door here one of these days, and Cheryl
right.
and Karen, and so we're making a Prana South wing because Betsy's already here and the Haymans are already here, so it's coming along.
Oh my gosh, is that where Betsy is?
Yeah.
You bet.
And they put her next door to me, John Mark. She's
Oh my
next
God.
door. And the wall that's between us is purple.
Oh, well, just so everybody knows, I think that's like kind of confidential where Betsy is, but that's so I feel like I've just been let in on a privileged information. So that's wonderful. And that she's next door to you, Nancy. Wow. That's, well, I
Are
mean,
you okay?
like Betsy, like just ditto on everything for Nancy, right? In terms of service. So that's really,
I'm happy that she's here and safe for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
she did. She got up.
Did you have a hand in that, Cheryl?
Got in there.
I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
now it's
Jared's
wonderful.
taking care of both of our amazing
Yeah.
elders there.
Yeah.
Elders. Yeah. The elders are there.
Well, what's neat is that I was hired at that community even before it was completed. The building was complete.
When we start to go
And
in.
so I worked there for about a year and a half, and just I feel like was part of infusing the light into that and the training of the staff and all that. So it's quite a good place. And so I'm delighted that Nancy is there and being cared for in the style she should be. And
Yeah.
and that I believe Nancy is a wonderful model for accepting the aging process and thriving. Like some people want to just like, I'm going to stay at home. I don't even care if I'm whatever, like that they're not doing well or something like that. Well, I'm just flailing at home, but I just want to stay there. And Nancy used her wisdom to go, hey, things are changing. I could use a little more help. And she just stepped into this grand adventure there where she could thrive. And what's also beautiful is that she's demonstrating how our purpose or ministry or whatever you want to call that service changes over time, and going from being able to show up at an event, put on events for 1,000 people, be of service in person, drive all over the place, to like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that piece anymore, but I'm going to show up at dinner and I'm going to see who shows up at my table and minister to them. So your attitude also about that changes in how you can be of service wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Some people, as we age, they aren't sure what to do if they're not doing something, and they have a hard time just like being, right? And like Nancy talks a lot about listening, and listening, people just want to tell their story. And, you know, she has the eyes to see that she's ministering. She sees the people lifting. She sees the people who want to have dinner with her, like, hey, Nancy, you know, I try to book things with her and she's busy. Like, I'm having dinner with so-and-so and so-and-so. People want to be with her. So I think it's a beautiful example. And I love it. Nancy, every time I see you on this Zoom, I'm grateful.
Wow. Well, boy, you and Cheryl and Nancy, you just filled in a picture, because we really have a role model, as Nancy said, of Prana South, and for healthy aging. And it's
hot aging.
hot aging. Well, you could take all those jackets off anytime.
And
then you can be cold, and then you can put them back on again and be hot or whatever. But that's a lot of what we do, is take things on and off. Now Laura's back to singing and dancing.
I love that.
I love this dancing. Please continue. So anyway, that's really neat. Thank you for modeling that for us. And wow, like from NBC to the movement of spiritual inner awareness, to the beautiful heaven on earth assisted living place. You know, there's Nancy Carter shine.
I think that people are attracted to spirit, and as long as we have that intention, then they're attracted to us. But it's spirit that people are going for, isn't it? Don't you find that?
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter how many jackets we have on.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Well, Lori, you know, it's like this thing of like being taken care of by spirit. Like, I mean, we literally had this will be my sharing, I guess. We literally had like somebody show up and see Lori shivering, which she does really good, you know. Well, you were expressing coldness at the time. And I thought they were going to bring a jacket for Lori, and like this is like top of the line mountain gear that they found in secondhand, which
is true. And maybe there's something extra again.
Yeah.
Hey,
And they don't just show up with this one jacket. There's like 5 layers there, and I have the same kind of layers. They showed up with this huge plastic Pelican case. Some of you might know what that is, like the biggest one they make, full of this stuff. Because he said, I know you told me you don't have room for any more stuff in your camper, so we brought you something to put it in, an outdoor closet. And it's this waterproof O-ring sealed monster that I just sort of slide under the truck on a sheet of plywood. And then he noticed Lori struggling getting up, climbing over the trailer hitch into the camper. And so he shows up, and this guy's an industrial level electrician, but he's just got lots of engineering skills. And he shows up. I call it the Apollo launch platform. He not only got the best steps you could get from the best RV company, Lippert, but he bought sheets of aluminum and angle aluminum and skateboard tape to make it safe in winter, and fabricated this platform that would keep our trailer hitch intact with little screws so the whole thing would lift up. But I mean, it was just this amazing thing. And just because he saw Lori struggling getting into the camper and didn't want her to hurt herself. Aww. And so we don't ask for stuff. It's like, you know, that scripture, your Father in heaven knows your needs before you do. This stuff, it's like the computer we're talking to you on. This was another family member that just sent this. They didn't say, do you want it? Actually, I think they did a year or so before. And I said, oh, no, we're fine with the last one you gave us 4 years ago. And they said, they just decided we
You
needed this.
always
So now
watch
you
it.
get to see us as well as just hear the little audio signal, meaning it's a more powerful machine. So anyway, I'm just so grateful. And I just see how JR, God, we really are cared for, like Nancy and Lori and Betsy and all of our beloveds.
Mm. Where are they?
We have the best retirement program of all, right? Like the
I'll say,
birds of the air and the
Done
lilies of the
something.
field, right, Nancy?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm, 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 mm.
Yeah, and then it takes some
It-
trust to
What does it
trust all
mean?
that's going to work out.
What does it mean?
Well, you were part of that, Cheryl. You were a
I
big
know.
part of it. You
I
just
know,
you
but
just
I
showed
don't-
up like Spirit tapped you on the shoulder, and there you were. And and here you are now. So the blessings continue. Thank you.
Blessings continue. Hey, Alicia,
Hi.
you want to share? You want to share?
Yeah,
Excellent.
I want.
Nice to see you.
I thought I wanted to kind of introduce myself
Great.
because this is maybe the second time. I don't know. I don't
Mhm.
remember because it happens to be. I'm still working for PTS, three
Nice.
days a week. So this time I'll make it up later on. Maybe Friday. I work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But when I saw the theme Q&A about aging, I thought, well, maybe these people are going to have questions and answers that I don't have myself. So that was my curiosity.
Mhm.
I am Alicia Landa. I was born in Chile. I've been outside of Chile more than inside of Chile, and in California since 1991. And now, just last year, I moved to Maryland. So has been a big change. And I am 85 years old. And I'm retiring in June. It's going to be my last month. So I'm looking forward to that. And at the same time, I do translations, into Spanish at PTS. And today, it was so beautiful what I had to translate that I said, wow, what am I going to do without this job? I mean, how am I going to manage? Because I was translating some processes, close-out processes for the next DSS-5. And they were
Wow.
answering what I needed. It was what I needed,
Mhm.
really. So it was beautiful. And there, everything I translate is or the DSS classes or JR stuff. So
Mhm.
it's very nourishing for me. And at the same time, I get tired. That's why I like to be among older people because I'm usually around younger people in PTS. And they're all younger. And I get tired, now. So it's this contradiction. I would like to work because I like my work, but I get tired. And I don't live in a dream place like in Nancy, and I couldn't afford it. And so I have to cook for myself, and that takes a long time. When I was living in Los Angeles, I was close to Prana, so I would go there, a few days a week. So it helped a lot. And now I have become a very good cook, and I've been learning a lot. I had to because I like to eat. I like to eat good things, so I have to cook them for myself.
Mhm.
And I see Carol Clary there. Hi, Carol. I haven't seen her in a long time. Some people I met for conference once a year. Are you going for conference this year? You are. I'm going too. So I'm going to be there. I'm looking forward. And
Nice.
well, I don't have questions about aging, but
Mhm.
my question would be: everybody gets tired. more often. I do, you know, my insurance, health insurance, gives pays for me for Planet Fitness.
Mhm.
So for the all these years, because I like to exercise, and I do it, my body needs to do it more often now. I remember Jar saying that when we get less energy as we get older, we need to exercise more. So we have less energy to exercise, you know, but we need it more. And
Mhm.
I, you know, I have to kind of make a discipline and do it. I try to do it every day. I have DVDs at home, but Planet Fitness first, you know, I was, oh no, this is not for me, you know, because this is for, you know, other people, but I am special. And the second time I went and I used the machines and I loved it. I loved it because it gives me energy, you know, those walkers. You know, I don't know if any of you have used them, but I really recommend those walkers. You know, I walk 20 minutes and after that I get energized. I don't get more tired, I get energized. And when I go walking, you know, in the street, it's not the same. So I recommend that. You know, it keeps me going. So I need to find out. I don't know how the other people that are here, how, how do they manage to keep going? You know, to that's one question I would have. You know, for me, it's exercising because I want my body to continue doing the things that I like to do. You know, and I'm very grateful to my body because it's responding so far. Although I have a hip replacement in one hip, and the other one is kind of, you know, ignoring it a little bit, but I'm placing the light, you know, I send lots of light to my other hip, the right one, so that I don't have to have another hip replacement.
Mhm.
So, you know, health-wise, I'm lucky, you know, I'm good health. And financially, when I stop working, I'm going to be really challenged. Well, that's a reality. It's not that I am programming for that. I keep saying myself that I've never lacked anything. You know, God has given me abundance. You know, the way JR teaches abundance, prosperity, riches, you know, and health, wealth, and happiness, abundance, prosperity, and riches, loving,
Mhm.
caring, and touching others. Anyway, that's me a little bit, a little very little thing. I have 2 children, Jean-Jacques, who lives in Chesapeake, and Diane, who lives in Montreal. I moved to Maryland. I'm still having these arguments with God because it was a God call to move here. I've been here 14 years ago. It was a God call to bring the light to the capital. That's a long story. And I came, and this time I got there. This time, and when I was doubting, you know, that I didn't want to, because with prana wasn't working already, too much karma. And I tried to back off moving. And in one of the classes I was taking, you know, DSS, I heard this voice, there is service for you there. It's okay, okay, I'm going. so, so I'm here and, you know, I'm kind of lonely because I don't have friends. I don't know anybody. The community is kind of a little closed in, you know. I don't have Latinos to make classes. There's no Latinos around. And so I asked, God, what do you want me to be here? What is the learning? The learning so far is to be by myself, you know, to be like this. So what,
Mm.
that's the challenge. What am I going to do? You know, my ministry is looking with God's eyes, you know, so I am very challenged, and I have all the tools necessary. And I wanted to hear you, my fellow aging people, everybody's aging, you know. I don't
That's
know.
true.
We could,
Yeah.
my fellow senior people.
Mhm.
So I would love to hear from you, your stories and your thing. And thank you for Cheryl for maintaining this group. It's good to have a group. Hey, Miami though is there. Hi Dee. And Ladi Rodriguez, I know her. Okay. Well, bye now.
Well, I'm so happy. Yeah, we'll open it up. Well, thanks for your sharing.
Hey,
Alicia.
Alicia, just a quick thing. If you're not already, are you aware of all of the Spanish intercessory prayer calls? The Spanish speaking. There's a number.
Yeah. I've been there. I'm part of that. All the with Connie Stamper and Vania Grimaldi and the woman in France.
Yeah.
Moi, je parle français aussi. Alors, je peux faire à Paris.
Yeah. So
You got
you're Spanish, and you got there's it seems like that whole Latin American community has really joined in, and they've got their own prayer calls now.
Yeah. Okay, I would like to hear about Carol and everybody and B. I'm going to be with B. B, are you there?
Carol or B?
Yeah, I want to say a big shout out to you, Alicia. I heard your voice and I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to put on my camera because I'm just getting up. It's noon and I'm just now having breakfast. But when I heard your voice, I thought, oh, that's Alicia. It's so nice to see you and hear you. And so now I live in Mexico and have been now for almost 10 years. Well, a little more than 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
So, but anyway,
you're in the border with California.
I'm on the border.
Yeah.
And near Rosarito, but in Tijuana, on the beach. So I'm living in heaven on earth, both spiritually and physically. It's beautiful. And I wanted to, there are a couple of things I wanted to chime in on, but I also wanted to add to the discussion. I've noticed that as we age, or as I am aging, I don't have the energy that I had before. And I've always had lots of energy. And now I still have lots of energy. And every day I just say, okay, light, spirit, what is it you want me to do today? And things come up. I mean, I have my regular activities and I also do translations. I translated last Saturday for the Flying Samaritans. So a lot of times, in my case, it's not for MSIA, it's just for what spirit sends me to do out here in the world. So it's just, and it's amazing to me how what comes up. And I love the idea of listening. I think the listening that has been mentioned, I think that's one of the greatest things that we ever do is to listen, because most of us don't listen. We tell God what we want, we tell spirit what we want, but we oftentimes do not listen to others or to even listen to spirit. So I think the skill of listening as we get older is so important. I wish I had had more of that skill when I was younger. And the other thing I wanted to comment about is for some of the people that might have known my mother, Alma Clary. My mom was a wonderful service person. She was one of the very early ministers, but she was always about service and always busy. And I'm much like her. And at the end of her life, when she was 84, she had a very serious accident and was no longer able to speak. And I am convinced that this was spirit saying, now you have to listen and go inside. So, the fact that now that you're in this quiet time, Alicia, that seems to me, and that you're able to accept that that's where you are, I think that's wonderful. My spirit had to force my mother into it. And I'm trying to spend a lot of time in stillness and listening and going inside, because I don't really want to lose my ability to speak in order to have to listen. I kind of like to have both. But I guess spirit will decide on that. So it's just great to see you and to see you still so active, because I've always thought of you as just a super active person. And so, sometimes we're active and just active in spirit and whatever comes. And you'll be surprised at what will come up to do with Latinos. I never thought the things would come up for me to serve that have come up. I mean, I went from singing and from teaching and being a bilingual teacher. Now, my big issue now here is working on a sewer system and educating people on how to deal with sewage. And it's certainly not something that I had planned on, but that's what I'm called to do. And so, sometimes I speak to I speak to God and I say, God, you really want me to have to do this today? And then I get a call from the people that are dealing with the sewage. And I think, okay, I guess that's my answer. That's what I've got on. That's what's coming on today. So I just want to applaud everyone. We deal with aging in the way that we best can. And that if we are able to listen to spirit, it tells us. And so I'm here today to ask from all of you speaking in spirit, from your spirit, how do you recover after, when you don't know that you've had a lot of drain on your energy? And I've had many challenges in the last 3 weeks, and it's just been one thing after another. And I know that spirit has really sent me, I never have gotten more than I could handle, but now it's the handling, the rest and the recovery and the regeneration. And so I'd like to ask in this group how other people handle that rest, recovery, regeneration after a period of challenge. So that's all I've got. And it's great to be here on the call. And Cheryl, I'm so glad that you do this. And it's just so great to see you, Alicia.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's what I've got.
The same.
It's beautiful. Thanks, Carol. I always appreciate your energy here on the call. It just sounds like it's a similar topic that Alicia kind of put out as far as, do you have less energy as you age? How do you recuperate and rejuvenate after a period of challenge? I've got some things I can share, but I'm just wondering if anybody else wants to chime in. John.
Well, I know personally because I'm dealing with that. And one thing that really helps is kind of forgiving myself for taking a little longer to get to recover. Just, go with the flow. It really makes it. It really makes a difference to go to not waste energy on things like that. And that's that's something.
Very important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So being wise where you're spending your energy. It reminds me of the topic. What came to my mind is you can't afford the luxury of a negative thought. JR book, like when he talks about life-threatening illness. But as we get older, yeah, my experience is that maybe it's your wisdom or maybe it's less energy than usual. But I've got to be real careful, not careful.
Astute,
particular, discerning of where I want to use my energy. Because before it seemed endless and I could stay up all night if I wanted to. And then that I pay a price for that now. So, asking myself where, I think that's what you said, spirit, where do you want me today? And so just go to that instead of 10 other things and then that. So, Nancy wants to chime in here.
Well, yes, I do. Thank you. I have several thoughts based on how you were expressing, and the first one is Those of us who've studied with JR heard frequently about who was responsible for the 10% of our lives and who was responsible for the rest of the percentage, the 90%. And I connect that thought with this one, and that is, I'm retired now, but I was a psychotherapist, among other things. And I became a pretty good therapist when I realized that it was not me doing the work, but God was doing the work. And once I just could relax into that and allow it to happen, so that, in other words, keep my mouth shut a lot of the time, and see, and so there were times when I could not, I had a thought in my head but could not express it. My mouth wouldn't open. And see, you're relating. And if I just relaxed, it would, the healing would flow. And so I don't know whether those two thoughts connect with you. It looks like at least one of them does the 90%. But God can do the 90%, and my job is to beware of words and make sure that what I'm about to express is, could be useful to the other person. That's it for me for the moment.
Thank you.
Alicia, you had found a great, you had an awareness that when you exercise, you get more energized. Remember, there's certain types of exercise that you participate in, and that's certainly my experience. You know, I've heard so often is the spirit meets you in the moment of your action. And you know, a body in motion stays in motion, and things like that. So I find as I'm getting older, the consistency is even more important. Years ago, I could work out now and then I could just, it was like I could would keep my gas tank topped off. But for the last year and a half, I've been working out so I would say workout meaning go to the gym and work, like lift heavier weights 3 times a week consistently. And I just got back from a 2.5-week trip. So I didn't exercise for 2 weeks. I walked, but wasn't in the gym doing that. And I found like I was already, it already made a difference yesterday when I went back to the gym. I sort of didn't want to do it because it was harder. And I just noticed I wasn't quite strong as strong as I was, or as I needed to stretch more and things like that already. So I'm sure in a couple more days, I'll be back to where I was because I didn't take that much time off. But I find the consistency is really important, and doing something. And we've talked on past weeks as far as just doing something a little extra every day. The importance of the ability to sit to stand. Once someone loses that ability, then they lose their independence. So, you know, just getting up and out of a chair, maybe do that 10, 20 times more than you need to. We got in, I don't know, the 80s or so, there was a lot of information about what we should do to work out correctly, right? And for me anyway, there's so much information, then it started to get hard, or like I wasn't doing it right. I need to work out X amount of days, 4 days a week at my target heart rate for 20 minutes. And like, you need to have this many carbs and this many proteins, and it'd be best to have a drink right after you work out. I mean, there's so many rules that I thought I needed to follow that it was just like, okay, I'm not doing any of that. And what I find is I just need to pay attention to what feels good to me and keep doing it. Anything that feels good, just to keep moving is the key. I know I love having you on the call, B, and I've seen your like yoga and movement, and she's been doing it for a long time, and really demonstrating that to keep moving for the long term. Carol, you got 2 calls going on?
Yeah.
I think it's echoing there.
Yeah.
If you turn off the volume of one. Okay, there you go. So yes, so consistency and doing something just to keep moving. If you're holding groceries, or you're holding, you're carrying your groceries out to the car. I'm doing this like I'm carrying bags, but the truth is, like, they ask you at the grocery store, do you want a bag? Because it's going to cost you money. And so sometimes I don't even get a bag. I'm just like carrying everything. But if we have a grocery bag or whatever bag, whatever we're doing, like I'm trying to do some bicep lifts, right? Just to keep active, parking further away from the store, doing any a little bit more to keep me going, because I noticed that it's easy to just have my world smaller and smaller if I'm not having a job that I used to go out to every day. Maybe I'm around home more, or maybe I have a desk job and then I've got fewer friends. I'm going further, so that my world could potentially get smaller and smaller, and my muscles could get smaller and smaller. So to purposefully and intentionally keep moving, keep our friend groups, do something that's fun. I love that Alicia, that you're liking Planet Fitness is fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's maybe some classes there that you like. And so it's something to look forward to. For me, also, what helps is having an accountability partner. The reason I make it to the gym 3 times a week consistently is because I've got a friend who I know is going to be there.
Mm.
And they live outside of my house. Sometimes I've had, committed to someone that lives with me. Let's do this. And then in the morning, we're like, we don't really want to do that, do we? And so it's easy just to sleep in or not do that thing. So someone outside the house that you can commit to, that you both know that you're going to be there, is really helpful. And if you like the heartfelt stuff and the groups and the people, there's I think it's called Light and Wellness workshops, and Peter Bort heads those up, and they're into like quantum health and sunlight and all these things that are interesting and potentially get you some more energy in ways that you might not have thought about before.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Sure.
I would like to add, I'm taking notes because everything is so interesting. I would like to add, Don Morris talked about forgiveness, to use that, and that's very important. And I would like to put the theme of compassion, self-compassion, compassion to myself, because
Yes.
I had the feeling I make more mistakes now. Different kind, from the physical thing that I don't pay attention enough, or because I was doing my brain exercises and I stopped because of the anyway. But now I'm going to start again because they help me. I don't know if anybody is doing those brain HQ, what they're called. I recommend them, and so I have more reasons, more need to be compassionate to myself, really. And because I feel more vulnerable now that I'm older, and more kind of fragile, even if my body is strong and I manage, with my equilibrium. It's not as it used to be, but I'm there. But I'm more fragile emotionally. I don't know if everybody is that way, but I feel more fragile and more vulnerable. So the need for self-compassion is more acute. So I don't know if anybody has comments about that.
A great topic. Feeling vulnerable, feeling anybody want to?
I have a comment about that feeling vulnerable. I'm younger than you, and I started feeling vulnerable this year, especially because I'm not alone. I have a partner, and my husband is 84, and he's really needing a lot more care, and then and I'm starting to realize I need a lot more care. So for myself, and that feeling of vulnerability, I think it's really, for me, it has been really important to share those feelings of vulnerability with my friends and to widen my circle of friends. And to do both the stillness and the going inside, and also force myself to go outside of myself. Because I find that spirit works for me through other people very strongly. And so I think that I feel less vulnerable when I have those contacts, when I feel not alone. So the more I have that network of contacts, even though some of them are online, some of them are neighbors. I mean, we have a dog, and I find that when I walk the dog, I widen my circle of contacts. Going on to an online Zoom yoga class, I widen my circle of contacts. And then finding some days when I would prefer to stay in and just do self-nurturing. And I find that I have to really remind, not only to exercise, but to exercise my sociability. So that helps my feeling of not feeling so vulnerable. So, but that's what I've got it. That's what's working for me, at least right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bee's putting things into the chat because her phone's not letting her video or audio to us work, but she hears us. So she's saying she started in yoga in 1962, that she dove into yoga. She's been doing this a while. And her comment, tenderness, fragility,
Mm-hmm.
fragility, it's funny. Acknowledged, appreciated, yes, we know, for our and my highest good. Julie, the places we all share with everyone, everywhere. John, you got your hand up.
We'll
Yeah,
try for that.
it's really interesting. The topics we've been talking about to me, and I was looking at it and thinking, we've been playing back the recordings of Jeffrey Morgan's sharings that he does on Tuesday nights and Saturday mornings. And one of the there's some central threads that go through a lot of them, but kind of like one of the sort of summaries I hear is everything is good.
Mhm.
So whatever shows up is a good thing. And like, I am so grateful. Like a lot of the stuff that I really didn't like at the time, like my job ending and wondering if, like we would perish. And, it's like, wow, this amazing life I have. And I am so grateful. Like when I get, we'll call it tired, I just think that is like, oh, I'm getting called to do SEs. I get to lie down now. And I don't care if it's noon or 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I get to lie down now. I juggle that sometimes where I go, oh no, I really want to walk when it's the warmest part of the day. So when it's here in the winter, so I go, okay, well, I'll walk and do SEs, or just kind of, but when we go for a walk, I feel a slight twinge. I go, oh, okay, I get to go home now. like I don't keep like my old competitive, oh no, you're supposed to push through that, and injure yourself. Like, no. And, or Lori just says, she's done. Like, I was like, oh, okay. So we get to go home now and do something else. It's like everything is good. Everything's for us. And yeah, I just redefine it as like, oh, wow, more downtime. That's cool. SEs get to be with God. So I just see everything in this process, whatever it is a blessing. And when things are a little uncomfortable, that's saying, oh, maybe you don't need to do that.
So who is
It's my
that?
that's my experience of it.
Thank you. That it reminds me of I was listening to a podcast today, and the message was not needing to do things the way we've always done it because of societal pressure or our old rules. And it reminded me of I grew up thinking like I just needed to work. I needed to work hard and I needed to keep working. And I didn't really pay attention to necessarily how it was affecting my body. I just kept working. And then as I was getting older and when I had my own business, I was making the rules up and I found myself, I was still overextending myself. Like, well, I'm making the rules up now. I'm doing this to myself. Because before it was like, well, if I only had more time or if I had more money or whatever, I was still doing it to myself. So, as I think part of the wisdom that I'm finding as I get older is choosing what is it that I want to do. Like, it's amazing to me that you're still working 3 days a week and you're 85 years old. That's awesome.
Mm.
And maybe it's right. It sounds like you're being called to do something else with your time, right? And then sometimes people keep working because that's what they love to do. So it doesn't feel like work to them. It's like making a little extra money, which feels good, being of service, listening to these amazing tapes and this information. So it's like delightful. But to look at how am I spending my time, and is it because of I want to, or is it some rules I set up for myself or society? And then there's a freedom in that, like John was saying, like just sometimes being called to just lay down. And that is so weird when you're used to working all the time, like, oh, take a nap or do SEs or just don't do anything when I'm used to doing. So it's a beautiful thing. And sometimes that does take forgiveness or acceptance. Like there's some things I just have to do differently now. Like I need my glasses now. I don't prefer that, but I do need them because I really do like to see. So that's one thing in aging. Like it's, for a while I could kind of wish it away. Like it's gonna be fine. It's gonna get better. And then some things like aren't getting better. Like I've had a sore shoulder now. I'd never be sore anywhere. And I have a shoulder that so far it's not healing as fast as I want it to. And then it's being patient with myself, continue to look for new ways to heal that. What is it telling me? And actually utilizing the tools that I have heard for John Roger talk about for so long. And so really putting those to even better use now. Alicia, I love that you heard that call of spirit and that you moved far away and you're just doing it. It's like, okay, now what do you want me to do, God? It takes a lot of courage.
I remember when you felt that way and went to Washington, D.C. and and then you came back. So, this is for me, this is a time in which nothing is permanent. I always thought things were permanent. And right now I'm dealing with, I want to permanently stay in Mexico. I really love my home, but I have to really face the fact that maybe this is not permanent. And so,
Mhm.
and maybe there's an assisted living in my future. I hope that it's a nice one. But there's always the chance to move back. There's to change if we are willing. And that's been for me the newest thing, is that looking at new challenges. Like, I never thought I'd be wearing not only contact lens but hearing aids, and now I've had to invest in a watch that reminds me to do a number of things. So and a new phone, and I'm having to learn how to use a new phone, and so a lot of that is I didn't want to do that, but somehow it seemed like it was the right thing to do. So here I am learning to use an iPhone after 100 years using an Android, and it has not been an easy change. So it's a new challenge, new things to learn. So I'm trying to see those challenges as opportunities for learning. I don't like it, but I'm learning to love it regardless.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of mind blowing, Alicia, that you're 85. I have to just call that out because I've known you for many years, and I thought you were like a couple years older than I was, you know. But like that's like we're 65, Gloria and I. So you're like, you know,
Wow.
you're the age my mom would be if she was still on the planet. You know, she passed in 2004. So I just see like you're way ahead of the curve. Like I'm like, oh no, Alicia doesn't need any advice from any of us. I'm watching to see what's Alicia doing, because
Exactly.
you're doing 3 days a week. You're doing all this stuff. You look good. You don't look that. And my commitment to myself is not to reframe in any way the way I see you. I'm just going to keep seeing you as maybe a couple years older than I am, because that's what I see you manifesting. You're just like youthfulness and wellness, and somebody who was politically active in the time of Allende. You know, I mean, I'm just looking at you as being kind of awesome. So that's my comment.
Thank you. That's my
You
karma.
still are awesome. You're just being a different awesome than before.
Well, that's so philosophical question. You know, I think Nancy had her hand up, but one thing that I would like to bring is that as we age, as I am aging, I feel that I'm getting closer to God, because I'm letting all these distractions. I don't have so many distractions. I am more detached of the physical world, and I'm more interested with my inner world, what's going on inside, and that is plenty of challenges, you know, because the higher the road is, the steep. I don't know how to explain that, because you want to get closer to me, huh? Okay, you know, and there comes the challenge. How close do you want to be? And they bring you one that is wow, you know. So I don't know if I imagine that's something that goes with aging, especially for spiritual people like us. You know, that we have always wanted. And Gerard says, you know, the answer for all the challenges is love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. So it's going back to God, and that's what works. And I don't know what Nancy has to say about that.
What do you have to say about that, Nancy?
Right on. That's what I have to say about it.
Yeah.
I did want to make a comment because I live so I'm 90 years old, and I'm living in a place where all the residents have a concern level about losing their brain, the activity of their brain, because there is a memory unit here, and so visible in front of us every day are people who don't have charge of their mind. And the reason to even talk about it is to say, God bless our good minds, and no matter what our age is or whatever. And one way to strengthen it and assure that it isn't going away is to keep using it. I've been impatient myself with my iPhone and my computer gives me a hard time sometimes. And sometimes it's just, I wish these objects were not in my life, but they are, and they've been given to us for a purpose. And I have to say, I've come to a place of acceptance pretty much, and gratitude for having the mind I've got that serves me quite well. So that was something I wanted to contribute.
Good.
God bless us all.
Thank you, Nancy. I'd like to just say something about vulnerability. And I have seen, so I've been a geriatric care manager for over 25 years. So I help with that. What that means is I help people, usually to someone in the family, like an adult child, calls me when their parent or loved one is somewhere between they went from I'm fine to I'm not fine, but I'm not dead yet. So that whole time in there, right? So I've seen the look of vulnerability in people, that it's like this look that I can't unsee. So I understand when we can't do things the way that we used to do them, or maybe aren't as strong or as physically able as we used to be, like things start to change, and there's a sense of there's a dependency, interdependency on other people. And can we trust them? What's going to happen to us? We don't want to die alone in the gutter. We don't want to be in the hospital alone. We don't, these things start coming to our mind. So I would definitely recommend finding your people, your person or your people. And hopefully that person is younger than you are. And you fill out the documents as far as a power of attorney to say, hey, Jane, if something happens to me, I want to have a talk with you to say, like, if something happens to me, this is what kind of care that I want. So, if something happens, then you've got someone that's going to be an advocate for you. Sometimes, it sounds like you've had some amazing moves in your lifetime. Sometimes as we get older, those moves, like, I remember when I used to move myself, like I'd like rent a U-Haul, or, some friends, we would just move apartments. We just do it ourselves. We'd throw all the stuff in there, we'd box it up, and we would do the move, and we carried up steps and all that. And then, coming to the point of like, someone said, I said, can you help me? And they're like, I'll help you pay for a mover. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. And so I still could have done it myself at that point, but I was like, that's brilliant. I don't have to do all that myself. I can hire people to do it. But sometimes I have helped older people, like say in their 80s, and they don't really want to stay where they're at anymore, but they can't imagine how they could move themselves anymore. And all the steps involved, physically or mentally, like all those things. So if we have people around us that we are either friends or family, or people that we hire to help us make our vision come true, that, and I think a lot of us are not used to doing that. We're used to just doing it ourselves, and but there comes a time that's like, can you spend the money on yourself, or do things a little bit differently. That might help being open to new things. Like if you're going to be done with your job, maybe I don't know, is there a different place for you? Some of the people that are aging that, in MSIA are talking about, hey, it'd be great to live in community, closer to somebody that I know. So there's some groups, there's some people in Tucson that are kind of living near each other, people that talk about getting a place near each other, having friendships, even if they're here on Zoom for now. But it's an exciting time. That Carol mentioned that it's like things aren't permanent. I used to have this vision that like I would do something like buy a house and I would be there forever, or I would buy a car and I would have it forever. I'd have a job and I would just do it forever. There was this thing of forever for some reason. And when I look back, it's like that. It's nothing is really forever. It keeps changing. I've had some friends for a very long time, but the way that we interact and meet each other and what we talk about, those things change. So that it's sort of exciting though when I think, oh, it doesn't have to be like this. Someone said, I don't know if it was JR, he always talked about change is like the only thing on the planet that's like certain. But it's like whether you like it or not, hang in there, it's going to change. So I used to be a hospice social worker a long time ago, and I really learned the value of just enjoying today, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So if you're like, I love this place that I live, and I'm going to just like soak it up so that this is my last day here, I feel fulfilled. And then we'll see what happens tomorrow. And I also am very grateful for my health and for I can still wear contacts and see. And I think it was earlier today, I was like, okay, my contact prescription numbers have gone up a little bit over time. So I need stronger contacts. And I'm like, will there be a time that I won't have strong enough contact lenses? Maybe. So I love that I could put contacts in and see, because that may not always be the case. So those are some of my thoughts on aging. And it's fun, meeting here and talking with everybody as far as what our experience of life is, and our perceptions and our expectations and our forgiveness. And it seems like we're all like, moving right along in our own way along this river of life and aging fun. And I love that we're here together and that we get to share it. That's the most fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, loves. Well, I love you, and I hope to see you on another Tuesday. God bless you all.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
If